Hello guys, welcome to another NATASHA DENONA Xenon limited edition eyeshadow palette makeup tutorial. So I already have a video where I break down every single detail from this palette, and of course that video had to be a little bit more artistic and creative. Today I decided to go a little bit lighter. I wanted to make it more wearable and to truly test the blending options. What do we have in this palette? Also, I want to mention, if you are buying this palette through NATASHA DENONA, I'm affiliate with this brand and you can use code Ivana15 for 15% off of your purchase, which I think is actually a great deal. And also she has a great rewards program. And last time I purchased this palette, I actually ended up getting it for 30% off using my points. So I'll say that's a pretty good deal. Also, at the moment, we do have a Sephora sale, and you can also, I think, I'll check it out, if you can also grab this one or some of the other palettes from Sephora as well, available at Ulta as well. So if you are able to get any points for your discount, I think that's a great deal. So this palette is unfortunately limited edition. It's made in Italy and it does have 24 months shelf life. In this palette, she presented new sparkling foiled wet effect finish besides her all-time favorite regular formula. And I did already made a swatches, so I'll insert them again here in this video so you can see all of the choices that we have from here. If you already watched that, be free to skip that, and I'll see you in this tutorial. Now first I wanted to do some matte swatches so it's easier for you to have perspective while creating your looks. So the first one is Contrail, which is matte white shade. Now the next one is Blizzard, which is matte light gray. The next one is Flurry, which is matte eggshell. It's kind of a taupe transitional shade. The next one is Nerd, which is matte medium gray. Spoosh is matte cream to powder charcoal shade. Now this is not a black shade. This one is the easiest to work with. Let me just show you pure white and black just for the reference. Now let me show you these two Ingles MC gel eyeliners. I know these are gels, but they will dry. So we have 77, which is black, and 76, which is white. Now here you can see the difference between true white shade, because this one has a little bit grayish undertone, almost as if it's off-white. And now for the black, if you thought this is deep, like black color, look at the difference. And even if we can pull from her mini xenon or her black is black, you'll see how different this is. This one does have the gray undertone and it's not black. So in comparison, I did apply different eyeshadow. They are really similar, but then not completely same as this one, where this one is a little bit more whiter than this one. Now what I do have from Natasha is her black is black cream to powder eyeshadow, and you can see the difference between the two. This is black, this is not. So I'll say this is everything from A to B and everything in between. And I do love the depth difference between the shades that she chose to put in this palette, but we'll see once I, of course, create a look and blend them together what's going to happen. Let's watch all of her new formula. Now in this palette we have brand new formula, sparkling foiled effect finish. We also have sparkling wet effect finish. And even though that is new formula, it's not exclusive to this palette, because that formula can be found in I Need a Nude palette. I'll say with this mattes, besides the last one, I went a couple of times to apply them whilst watching them to get this full opacity that you can see on the camera. Here it is, you guys, all 15 shades from the palette. My hair is all over the place, but I just didn't figure the way to do this in a different way at the moment. Anyways, I do have my Pillows base underneath, which is in rumor number 2. Today we're going to do one of the basic techniques, and it's called cat eye. with a little bit of twist when it comes to shimmer. Usually you can do this with all matte, or you can also apply some shimmers on top. Now I already do have Ingles gel eyeliner in my upper waterline, and now I have the mixture of the Ingles MC gel liner in number 76 and 77. This will give me gray toned base, which is perfect for what I love to do. Now I will use this as this is my liner, and I love to go with this first because it's gonna help me to make a shape for today's look. Now you can skip this process if you want to, but I wouldn't suggest, because either way you have to go through this because it's how these techniques works, and you will have to go through this with the eyeshadow. Now this way is way easier, because now when I do apply my eyeshadow, I already know where to blend next. Now the lower lash line will help you to determine it's gonna be like your guideline where your line is going to be applied. So basically follow the direction of your lower lash line and just go up. Of course, now we need to blend this, and I'm using really small blending brush for this. Also, you can use a Q-tip at this moment if you think that your line is a little bit maybe too lower, or it needs to be a little bit more smudged. Now I will start with the lightest shade first, and that is going to be Contrail shade. You guys, I love the fact that she incorporated white matte eyeshadow being this light. Like I mentioned, for example, in her previous I Need a Nude palette, the shade that first initially I thought on a promo photos is going to be maybe a little bit less lighter than this one. It was so like for lighting up your skin, as you are really deeper in the skin tone, that can work for me as a transitional shade. It was kind of a bummer always not having the true light shade, and now I have a palette where I even feel like I have too many options. Maybe some of the shimmers not even that necessary, but I'm so happy for that. Also, I'm going with this one in my inner corner, and why I am happy about it is because when you do have shade that is light like this, you can have a control on a deeper shades that are in a palette as well. Like you can mix and control their depth, so that's good. So like I said, this one goes into my inner corner. Beautiful. And the reason why I did apply the lighter shade underneath my eyebrow is just because when the different shades now go deeper shades, I will be able to blend them into the lighter shade, and it's going to help me with the blending as well. First I'm taking shade Spoosh Posh, I think. Gee, I don't know how to pronounce this one. And where my liner was before, I am going on top and I will repeat this shade. This is not the deepest shade in this palette, even though it's really, really dark, but I will go later with the different shade as well, because once I blend this one, it's not going to be that dark. Now again, using a small blending brush, and it needs to be small because whenever we are working with a darker color, we always in general need to have like really small precise brush. The area where we work with the darker eyeshadows is like really tiny compared to the transitional shades and everything, where you can take like a bigger blending brush and just swipe around if it's light enough, you know. Can even take a bigger blending brush just for the edges. And now this is how this one looks when it's diffused and when it has base underneath. I will also repeat this shade on my lower lash line. I mean, I could have skipped this part for later as well, just to do lower lash line in one hint later. I'm gonna go in with the shade Snert, and I did realize, like, when you do use her eyeshadows, you can see that you do have a lot of fallout in a pan, but somehow I don't have almost any fallout on my skin, which is good, but I do take the excess off of my brush. Like, if I don't do that, honestly, I don't know what will happen. But in general, I always have a habit to take the product and then take the excess off every time. I would rather build that eyeshadow twice or 3 times if needed, because whenever you have the excessive amount of a product on your brush, it's not just that it's going to, if you have your base, potentially ruin your base, but the thing is that you don't want to have excessive eyeshadow amount on your eyelid, but rather for better blending, you do want to add that eyeshadow one step at a time. I mean, you can pack your brush as much as you want, but take the excess off of it. Oh, and one really important thing while doing this technique, like this technique as every other basic techniques as well, it does have a specific direction which you should follow when it comes to creating the specific technique. So this one requires you to, whenever you make your guideline, to follow each individual shade next to it in the same direction. So if I started like this, the next one goes here, then here, then here. So you follow the same direction. And that way you're gonna achieve like kind of a lifted effect for your eye. And that is definitely one of my favorite techniques, or even to combine cat eye with some cut crease or any other specific creative technique if I'm doing something else. But cat eye, I'll say it's definitely my favorite. And now when I look straight in the mirror, I see when I open my eye that I do lack a little bit of color right here. I also chose this technique today to see even better how the blendability with these eyeshadows will go, to see how blendable they actually are. I'm gonna use shade Flurry. Now, when I do have the light shade, I will combine Flurry as a transition between light and the previous one. And because it's light enough shade, I can use my blending brush for this. Also, what I can do is to blend it a little bit into my skin, since this one matches my skin depth really good, so it will blend really nicely right here. I'll definitely have to go with the Snert shade again. See, I do go a really kind of a light-handed today with these eyeshadows. I did not want this look to end up super heavy, but rather to use the shades that I think will give me a little bit of depth, but at the same time to keep it on a little bit more kind of a subtle side, if that makes sense. I'm going back again with the shade Snert. Later I will use shade Night Sky just to emphasize everything. Now I'm gonna go in with the shade Skift. One thing I wanted to mention right now, when I applied this shade Skift on this eye, I realized that whenever you have strong base underneath, like I used NYX glitter primer, which by the way, it's new, but this fell off, so I'll have to transfer this into something else. I'll use a little bit of fixing spray. Wait, let me just first apply this shade. Wow. Okay, so because this shade works more as a topper, you do want to avoid applying this shade underneath really strong tacky base like it's this, for example, this primer. This shade looks stunning on its own, and it doesn't need that again because it is light coverage in a sense that it's more as a topper, because here when I applied it and I go with a lot of the product, I felt like the shade cracked in certain places rather than go smoothly on the eyelid. So that's what I'm doing right here, applying it with my fingers slightly. And it's not just the fact if I apply it with my finger or with a brush, but rather what is underneath this product. Same goes with this Snowbow shade. While I was watching some reviews and reading some of the comments and experience, there's been like experience with this shade all over the place. I'll talk about that a little bit later. I just want to continue with this. First thing I'm going to do. So here Stellar is much more again as a topper, and for the underneath my brow bone area, I'm using that one combined with the Skift shade. And the effect, you guys, it's beautiful. And why I didn't mix these two shades, because I felt all of these light white and silvery based lighter shades are too light for this. So instead I mixed Stellar and Skift, which is going to give me like this beautiful base undertone of a Skift with a lighter effect. These both work as a kind of a topper, and this is so beautiful. It's not too reflective, it is so subtle, but yet you can build it up. I'm not going with it too much, just a little bit. Wow, this This is gorgeous on. This is gorgeous. So if you do miss something, sometimes you always can customize. So for example, you can mix Snowbow with this, sorry, what is this? Snowball and Neve shade and get the lighter shade that you need for underneath your eyebrow that is going to give you the undertone of a Snowball, which is that icy pink reflect. I am applying shade Skift. Once again, I applied it with my finger and now I'm going in with a small flat brush. Now for my inner corner, I'm going in again with a Stellar and Skift mix, applying it in my inner corner. It gives you just like that wet effect. Now I want to go to this area right here. So I took a Night Sky and Spoosh, and I will apply it just a little bit on the edge just to bring back that depth. I'm going in with a little bit of a Snurch shade. So this Skift shade, it works beautiful as well, even though these shades are so dark compared to how light it is. As a topper, it really looks good. So see, that's good thing sometimes to experiment, especially when you have a new eyeshadow palette. Like I said, I just don't want to do one look and call it a day. Like you do need time to process everything, even though you might be familiar with certain formula. Having different undertones, having different color story, and as well as we have here new formula. Like I love to give it a couple of kind of a test run to see what am I dealing with. Beautiful. Now we'll apply a little bit of Pilly's base on my lower lash line, but just on the first portion. I'm repeating Swatch shade right here. But now what I'm going to do is to take smaller blending brush and go in with a Snurch shade and just blend that shade across my kind of a lower lash line. But one thing that I do here, I do leave this inner part kind of empty for the lighter shades. I am going again and connect, really important to connect here. I'm going in with the shade Skift. Again in my inner corner, and also mixture of Stellar and Skift right in my inner corner. You know what, I will also apply eyeliner in my inner corner. I'm also applying a shade Night Sky a little bit right here. I'm going to apply some mascara and some false lashes and I'll be right back with you. And so to conclude this video, you guys, I really did have fun today. I really do love, wait a second, let me open my palette. I really did love how this Skift shade acted today, combining with the other products. The only thing I would say, because as I already mentioned, this is a topper, so make sure to use this one, which is even better. Like you don't have to use a primer underneath to make the most of it. So the best way this one works is just apply it with a finger or go with a flat brush and just swipe it on your lid. Also, we can combine like same finishes and get different undertones, which I think is great. And this look is something that I would love to wear on a special occasions because I think this is stunning. I really love this effect and combination of this darker grayish / blue shades. You know what, now when I do have this Skift shade almost all over my lid, I think that this one is the closest to the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes formula, where we do have those extremely shiny wet effect toppers. And so far, most of the formula that I've tried did not match that one, but I'll say this one it's not the same, but it's pretty close. And now I love that in my collection, I do have one extra undertone of this type of a eyeshadow because we don't have this one in that palette. I had so much fun creating today's look and I cannot wait to create another one, which I'm guessing it's going to be like a halo eye. Because I'm trying to incorporate different depth and then different techniques within the same palette to test it as much as I can. This one blended beautifully. One thing, you can kind of even overblend eyeshadows if you work with them too much. So I'll say take as much color as you need and then go towards the other shade so that you can get the diffused moment on your eyes where everything looks seamlessly. The thing is, I was thinking that I'm gonna miss black eyeshadow in this palette, which actually I don't, because the Night Sky shade really incorporates nicely if you're wearing black eyeliner. And what I already mentioned is that I would love for this palette to have, actually to take out one of the lightest shades, which was Rime, just because of its texture, and to add maybe something else. And that something else might be one of the colors that would match this last row, which is Skift and Flurry, because even though it may seem like this color is out of nowhere for this palette, you can clearly see how this one combines. Also, I wanted just to quickly mention that the Snowbow shade was something that when I went through my comments or when I saw other people's experience online, is either it is looking icy pink or it's not showing up pink at all. We are not supposed to have pink in this palette, but icy pinks, which is quite different, because the icy pink, it does have that more lighter undertone, cool tone, lighter undertone. And I'll say, now when I look at it, it shifts beautifully from, definitely from pink to cold green blue. And this is definitely duochrome. Yeah. And the thing is, you have to be really cautious of where you apply underneath this color. Based on that, it's going to show differently, and it definitely can look as it looks on a pan, no matter if you're lighter or deeper skin tone. Now, I am warm undertone, and I really do love how I incorporate this, how this palette looks on my skin. Now I am warm undertone, and I really do love how even that I'm warm undertone, how this palette looks like on me. It's a contrast. It is something I really do love and enjoy. Anyways, you guys, that is it for today. Let me know if you grabbed this palette, what are your opinions when it comes to this one. And again, thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate your support and all of your comments and sharing your experience with this one. Thank you. Before you leave, make sure to watch this video, and I will see you very soon in my next one. Thank you. Bye.